airplanes, everything inspected, straight. It's like the scenes on Wayne.
My name is Paul James. I host English News every morning.
And a Golden Angel Award ceremony.
Hello, dear friends, my lovely audiences. Welcome to the show. The East-West Show is exclusively sponsored by Wolfers, the Belgian royal family designated brand of jewelry with 400 years of glorious history and hand-forged by 10 generations of the #1 craftsman on the global earth. Together, the name of Wolfers stands as a testimony to the spectacular and a share of the royal glory. Back to the show. Today with me is my dear friend, Mr. Ken Hemming, a political commentator for our bi-weekly update. However, he is a philosopher himself, and he's a book writer. His book, 100 Words to Live By, Life is Simple, remains my Bible. Last night I read it because I happened to find out it was under my pillow.
Yeah.
And normally, but it wasn't there. I started looking for it. I found it elsewhere. All right. Anyway, Mr. Ken Hemming is a big supporter for this show. He himself, a few months ago, has finished 250 shows.
What an honor.
What a milestone.
What an honor.
What a milestone.
Thank you, Jack.
And he's been honored as one of the honorees of, in the commemoration of the 1,370 shows of the show. Thank you.
Jack's the man.
Yeah, thank you very much. But I wouldn't be here, or it wouldn't be possible without your support.
Well, Jack, and I don't know whether I'm worthy of being with you and with your viewers as much, but I'm so honored by it, and it's the thrill of my week when I get to see and talk to your people.
Yeah, to me, life repays.
Thank you.
You have
That's
all
good.
kinds of hardship, though. When you see you have friends stick to you, like Ken Hemming, your conclusion is, oh my God, life repays.
That's right.
You get somebody next to you.
Give,
right?
and you shall receive.
And I believe the same thing, same feeling happens to everybody. I believe my audience do the same thing.
I'm sure they do.
To the show, what's on the top of your list today?
Well, on planet Earth, there are so many things to talk about that we could talk for a week without stopping. I guess maybe one thing very important right today is the coronavirus circumstances in the world that are centered in the Wuhan area in China. And there have been approximately 100 deaths, and there are X number of people that may be infected with it. I'm not a doctor, so I can't discuss exactly what it is. I do know the brightest minds in the world are working on an antivirus for it, are working on something that can delay or correct the circumstance. And then what's happening, people are traveling, okay? And so, like right now, there's 50 million Chinese that kind of can't leave their little cities. And they show pictures of the sidewalks. Nobody's walking the sidewalks. Everybody's home. Get as much food as you can and just wait until it's all taken care of. And then this morning, I watched an airplane come with approximately 200 American citizens evacuated from
more than 200.
Evacuated from the Wuhan area. And they don't know what their symptoms are or what they're not, but they landed. People greeted them in these white suits that keep the germs off of your body. Okay, whatever, I forget what you call them, but they're kind of cute. But they're for safety purposes. That all the people are going to be isolated in certain locations, be evaluated by professionals as to whether they have any attributes that might indicate they have the virus before you let them go back home and get into society.
I personally have conducted 2 interviews with Kurt Hagman, county supervisor of San Bernardino.
Yes, great guy.
First was that prior to the landing, prior to the plan change, the rescue plan was supposed to arrive in Ontario at the Ontario airport.
Big airport.
Right? So a few hours before that, I conducted an interview with Mr. Supervisor Kurt Hagman,
Yep.
Honorable Kurt Hagman, about everything. According to him, that they have a facility. So they are facilitized with a special channel
Okay.
that is totally closed
Yeah.
from the outside
Safe,
world to handle situations like such.
Yes, sir.
Right. And it is under the federal government programs
Okay.
to maintain that capability all year round.
Good. I like that.
In other words, with or without the pandemic,
Yeah.
and they're still there. And
I really like that.
special channel leads to an area, huge area. When I ask about the size, by mentioning about 250 are arriving, can you handle that much? And he said, well, we are double, triple that.
Sure.
That indicates the size of the area.
Right.
In that area, they are totally facilitized with everything necessary medically. Small as a wound, big as cut your head off. No, you're
Yeah.
not cutting your head
Right,
off.
but-
You're probably opening a body
But it's a
up.
full, yeah. But
It's a
this is
full
all
length.
about isolation.
It's full length.
Yeah.
However, the whole thing is in an isolated area.
Yes.
Not even a germ can fly out, something
Right.
like that.
Right.
That kind of thing. He assured me that once these folks arrive, they will go through 3 days of intensive checkups
Okay.
to see, because of the incubation area.
Right.
I mean, incubation period.
About 14 days, I
14
think.
days. Yeah.
Yeah.
The incubation period being that long, and within the incubation period, it is still spreadable.
Sure, I'm sure.
It's still
yeah.
contaminable, right?
Yeah.
So the first 3 days, in a very compact way,
Yes.
uh,
Focused.
numbers of tests after test after test. And then some will go to another process of being observed
Yeah.
in the area. And if anything was discovered, anything were discovered, they will go 100% on it to make sure it is totally sealed.
Oh,
and
yeah.
stops right there.
Yeah, right. Well, and then I saw the airplane land today because they diverted it from Ontario to a military base in Riverside, and it was funny because the plane is huge. Okay,
Yes,
and
yes,
all
yes.
of the Americans that they were evacuating were on the lower level, and all of the crew were on the upper level, so they never saw each other, so they couldn't breathe on each other. I guess. Okay.
They're literally
Yeah,
separated.
and
They,
then when-
they breathe different air.
Yeah, and with this huge plane landing, the runway looked about this narrow. It was a narrow runway. It was a big airplane, so you got to know how to land your airplane.
This morning, when I heard about the diversion of the landing,
Yes, sir.
I did another interview with him. I asked him, sir, if you are informed of the diversion.
Right.
Of course,
Yeah.
I knew that because I was part of it. And the answer was that I asked him why the change of the route. And the answer was that the whole thing to deal with the pandemic is a federal program.
Okay.
And so it's all controlled by federal
Yeah.
government. And until the last minute, they have lots of parts to coordinate.
Okay, sure.
It is a coordination concern. But mostly, he says that my reading of the change is that it is for better better insulation,
Sure, yeah.
right? Better protection to themselves, and a better condition.
And it makes sense it's a federal program because state borders don't matter when you have something possibly pandemic
Yes,
that can
yes,
just,
yes,
because it doesn't, the germs don't stop at a border.
Yeah, and then
So
there,
we need a big,
yeah, exactly. And then there, they are taking this very compact 72 hours, first 72 hours, 2 hours, 3 days, and then they're going to lose up a little bit, until finally they make sure nothing goes wrong.
Yeah, it's getting an incredible amount of coverage, and I guess that's good. Everybody, they're always talking, is China doing a good enough job in fighting this, and I think they're doing their very best.
Yeah. After this interview, I wrote a little news
Yes, sir.
on the platform. And the last thing I said, you know what I said?
Tell me.
I said, finally, taxpayers' money are used in the right way.
Hallelujah to that.
Hallelujah.
We burn cash like
Taxpayers' money
valueless.
is used in the right way, right? So
nothing more inefficient than government spending.
we keep our hands crossed for ourselves because we have a strong country behind us. We are a big nation. We are the strongest of the world. Regardless of money, regardless of medicine, regardless of any science in any area, we are the number one.
We are.
Right, we're number one. If we cannot handle, well, human race
Nobody
cannot
can handle it,
Nobody
yeah.
else can handle.
Right.
To those folks who have just landed, who are there now, probably in the isolated area, please take it easy. When you watch TV, you see me, I can tell you, you are in better hands. Okay, you are totally protected from head to toe. All right. Should anything happen to you, there is always a cure.
We hope so.
Right, Carl?
Yeah.
Okay, my dear friends, let's take a short moment now. We come back to continue right there, see what's happening in China with the coronavirus. Stay with us, please.
Le bijou icône de Philippe Wolfers qui date de 1902. Il faut la regarder contre la lumière pour avoir toutes les couleurs de ce bijou qui est extraordinaire. Avec les opales, c'est un thème très à la mode, à la période Art Nouveau. On voit en argenterie, mais aussi en peinture. Et ça a à voir aussi quelque chose un peu symbolique. Un libellule, c'est très belle quand on la voit de loin, mais quand on l'approche, c'est comme un dragon en anglais. On dit un dragonfly.
C'est une des grandes figures de l'Art Nouveau. Et cette pièce, mieux que n'importe quelle autre, témoigne de sa virtuosité. L'opulence, le raffinement, les courbes et les couleurs, et puis le thème aussi, qui raconte une époque. Libellule a été réinterprétée, plus légère, mais c'est bien à son aïeul qu'elle fait référence, une pièce désormais accessible à tous, puisqu'elle est passée de la boutique au musée.
Everything
We have to continue to work on it now. My name is Paul James. I host English news every morning.
And a Golden Angel Award ceremony.
Hello, dear friends, lovely audiences. Welcome back to the show. Today with me is my good friend, Mr. Ken Hemming, a lovely individual, and he is the commentator of our show on this program. Today we're on the bi-weekly of the East-West show. However, we started with the pandemic situation.
Potential.
With the, okay, it's kind of like, taking the whole world's attention, number one.
It is.
Number one issue.
Because it can spread.
And in the meantime, not only, but people like me, myself, as long as you wear a face like mine, and well, you really have to care about folks over there,
Of course.
especially in the center of Wuhan, right?
Very
In the
serious.
center of Wuhan, where it started. Should people eat rat, eat bats? That's the other thing. We'll
Sure.
talk about the other day, another day, right?
Yep.
But right now, what's happening is what's happening, right? Those folks really need lots of help.
Well, you know, the people obviously need lots of protection. They need help if they're infected, and they need protection if they're not, in isolation. Now, one of the other impacts on China is this has tremendous economic impact.
Oh, yes.
Because like a lot of McDonald's are closing down, a lot of stores, a lot of activity, commercial activity, where people come and go through doors and everything is closing down. And also then with that kind of economic impact, which is negative for China, it's also negative for the United States stock market because companies that are highly invested in China, like McDonald's, I mean, they're every block over there, okay? I've been there, and the food tastes the same, by the way.
It's quite natural. Suppose if you're strong enough, you can keep open for 1 month without a business.
Yeah.
What if 2 months?
Well, that's right.
What if 3 months?
Yeah, well,
right?
Of course, they have thousands and thousands of stores around the world, but they'll survive, but it will impact the value of their stock in the flow of money, which is your economy in China, because to have an economy, you have to have people with money that spend it.
Especially when you are handling a city with 11 million people.
It's a big city, I know
And
it is.
It's a big city.
It's a big city.
It's the same size like the whole Los Angeles County.
Yeah.
Los Angeles County, last time I checked, had 11 million people, the
got a
total
lot.
population.
Yeah.
We got a lot.
We got a lot.
However, they are in a more compact way,
In Wuhan?
more condensed in Wuhan.
Yeah.
More condensed in Wuhan.
Yeah.
And what makes it even worse is that Wuhan is a city that not only does it have its air transport,
Okay.
railway transport,
Right.
highway transport.
Right.
It has its river transport.
Yeah, that's huge.
River transport
yeah.
takes a big part of the whole transportation.
And they're controlling the transportation out of the area.
Yeah.
Because they can't
In other words,
trust.
if something happens, say in the inland city
Yeah.
with no rivers passing by, right?
Yeah.
Whatever you control the air flight,
Yeah.
you control freeways and highways.
Yeah.
I mean, railways and highways.
Yeah.
You're okay.
That's a big deal.
But you have an additional waterway.
Yeah. Pretty hard
You
to
have a waterway.
Yeah, pretty hard to control.
Yangtze River goes right through the heart.
Okay.
Right through the heart. Right?
Of the city.
So, yeah, number 6. During the World War II, that Kuomintang government,
Okay.
before the Japanese had taken Wuhan,
Yeah.
had moved all the industrial base out of Wuhan to Sichuan.
Okay.
Through what?
I like to
Through
learn.
river.
Through the river. Okay. Yeah.
Through river. That gives you a idea how strong the river transportation is.
Well, right now they're not letting, my understanding, Wuhan people just go around China, go around.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
America's government is
That's
considering
why.
stopping.
That's why, if you were a government, you're kind of hesitating.
You want to.
Natural, right?
Right.
If you act too early, it brings kind of comeback.
Yeah. Right.
If you act too late, well, it's still on you. The thing is still on
tragedy.
you anyway.
Yeah.
Either way. So very hard. Lots of people say, hey, the government should have done something early whatsoever. But they were hesitating. Everybody would.
So many flights between America and China are now canceled. I mean, they're just canceled.
Oh, the White House just
sir.
made a decision yesterday, will not reduce the flight.
Did they?
How about
Okay,
that?
I didn't see that. Will not reduce,
Not reduce
the
the
flights.
flight from
To
United
Beijing?
States. No, from the United States. The word said from United States to China. As to certain cities, for example,
Okay.
Wuhan.
Yeah.
For example, Shanghai.
Yeah.
For example, Shenzhen or Guangzhou. They will reduce the number. They will not stop it.
Even to Wuhan? Okay, that I don't know.
Even to Wuhan.
I don't know why not, but that's okay. I'm
Helping.
sure we have.
To help China.
Well, right. Well, are you talking about passenger traffic or say supply traffic? Good question. I don't know the answer.
Both. Maybe both.
Maybe both. Yeah.
Passenger maybe reduced.
Yeah.
Maybe done with extra or special care, right? This morning I checked the news that UN, United Nations, sent their stock of United
supplies?
Nations. Well, it's under World Health Association
World Health,
Organization,
yeah, right.
WHO.
World Health, right.
There is a warehouse stocked in Denmark,
Okay.
Denmark,
I'm sure a huge one.
Stockholm,
Okay.
right? About 6 metric tons
Okay.
of face masks.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Well,
a
they're
lot
all
of-
sold out in China.
That's 6 metric tons.
They're
That
all-
thing weighs nothing.
I know.
You're
No,
talking
they're
about
all
6 metric tons.
They're all sold out.
That's going to be a lot.
Well, a couple friends of mine right here in California, Jack, that are Chinese. I mean, they were going to Costco, they were going to Walmart looking for the masks because they're
Even
selling it.
Costco is out.
Yeah. So I
Even
mean, you go
Costco's
down
out.
to like Monterey Park out here. You see a lot of people wearing those masks.
No. You can't literally buy. You go to medical store, any grocery whatsoever, you
Yeah.
can't buy. There's none there.
Well,
right?
I'm sure they're working 24 hours a day
This
making them.
thing under UN aid
Yeah.
is arriving in Wuhan. They fly from Stockholm to Thailand, from Thailand
Mm-hmm. Okay.
to Shanghai, because no direct flight, from Shanghai to Wuhan.
You know, and one thing, we have to give credit, Jack, to the pilots and the crews of these airplanes.
yes,
Because
yes, of
they're
course.
going into sort of a danger
course, of
zone.
course, of
now,
course,
I'm
of
sure
course.
they're careful and we sure they're eyesighted, but I give them credit, okay?
Yeah,
Because
and
they're
the medical
heroes.
personnel,
Yeah.
doctors and nurses.
I know.
They're there, then confronted.
They're there.
Like, it's same thing like what? Same thing like a firefighting,
Yes.
right? When there's a fire,
point.
everybody runs away from fire.
Right.
Who runs the opposite?
Firefighters go there.
Who runs the opposite? Firefighters,
Yeah,
right?
and the doctors
When there
go
goes
to
a-
the virus.
When there goes a medical pandemic like
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
so everybody goes out of it, and who goes the opposite way?
Yeah.
But the doctors and the nurses.
They're heroes. You know, they're brave.
they're heroes,
And they
yeah.
do their job.
So we really wish that this thing would get controlled,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
However, human race needs to learn.
There's been some words coming out of China that there's progress on antivirus.
I heard people say, "Don't take me for credit," all right?
Right,
Anyway,
right, yeah.
Just a say for reference.
Yeah.
God is punishing us
Well,
for our behavior. human race is getting out of hand.
there's a lot of evil
We
on
do
planet
things
Earth.
like crazy.
And see, Christianity is a religion that is under
Do we
tremendous persecution.
have to eat bats?
Well, if you're
Do
hungry,
we really have? I know.
yeah, if you're hungry,
No,
yeah.
no, of course, yeah. Unless you're hungry,
Yeah,
unless you're dying,
right.
right? You're starved.
Yeah.
You're starved to death. Other than that, you don't want to eat
No.
bats.
Yeah. But you know, around the world, it's amazing what people eat.
For a banquet.
Yeah,
A
right.
snake for a banquet.
Right.
So you're. I mean, I don't think he's wrong, but by some sense, God is punishing us.
But you know, I'm a Christian, and I believe God loves me and loves the world. But you also need to believe in the power of God.
And God is teaching
benefit.
us. God is teaching us amongst us human beings.
Yes, sir.
We need more help rather than wars.
Well,
Right? We need
yeah.
more rescue rather than killings.
all of those are true.
So God has created the environment, a situation where it indicates we need to help each other.
Well, and we're doing that right now.
Now that's why we're doing.
The world is
That's why
united
we're
on
learning.
this. Yeah,
that's what
we're
we're learning.
united.
That's what we are doing.
Yeah.
Right. Down to the end, to the very end of the day,
Yeah.
we are, after all, only human race, only human
right.
beings.
That's all I recognize
need
is the
help.
human race.
We need help,
And we
right?
need to help each other.
We need to help each other.
Yeah.
Right now, with the face masks.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to mention they are the what is it? They call the protection gowns or
their whole
or
bodies.
isolation gowns,
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Oh yeah.
From head to
They're
toe.
all white and
you have your even overshoes.
Oh yeah, no overshoes.
Even the overshoes.
Gloves, everything over your
gloves,
face.
everything.
Your face is
Yeah,
hidden.
everything. So I hope those will arrive early, and domestically, I mean China, other cities.
Well, there was
are
another
helping
flight
each
just
other.
like that went to Japan of the evacuating Japanese people,
Mm-hmm.
and some on that flight were infected with the virus. And so they're with others that aren't infected, and so they're getting incredible attention upon landing in Japan right now.
And this morning I checked, there's almost a total of 133 dead.
Yeah, it changes every hour. Never gets
And,
less. Never reduces.
More than 6,000 contaminated.
And I'm just guessing it's probably not a pleasant death. You know, you've got to be kind of going down, and it's not quick and pleasant, I'm guessing.
Well, it all depends. You mentioned about
don't know.
5 million people left Wuhan already.
Okay, yeah.
Before the seal of the city.
Okay.
They left already.
Yeah, and they could
Those
spread.
folks, of course, they had hundreds of reasons to leave the city.
Yes, sir.
But for the fact of protection, though, they'd rather remain
Sure, it's there.
until everything gets cured, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, question is that those 5 million might have carried out. You
They
never
might
know
have.
where they went.
Yeah.
You never know where they went.
Nope, and you won't find them.
You never know.
So,
All right. Okay, my dear friends, let's take a short moment out. We come back to continue right away.
Everything is
Continue to work on it now. My name is Paul James. I host this news every morning.
And a golden angel award ceremony.
Hello, my dear friends, my lovely audiences. Welcome back to the show. I should say, my dear fellow Americans, welcome back to the East West show that is exclusively sponsored by Wolfers, the Belgian royal family designated brand of jewelry with 400 years of glorious history, hand-forged by 10 generations of master craftsmen on the global earth. Together, the name of Wolfers stands as a testimony to the spectacular and share of the royal glory. I wish I had one. No, anyone.
I
not
want
this
some
one.
glory.
There's not.
I want
Hey,
glory,
Okay,
yeah.
good. Back to the show. Speaking of a virus, there's one going on here in the
There is.
United States.
yep.
And I see lots of virus with the impeachment.
It is. It's a very sickness. It's very sick.
Well, you should have found something before you say something, right? So
That's right.
Nothing is found so far.
That's right.
So what do you have anyway? What do you have on that issue?
Well, like right now, the Democrats that are trying to impeach and destroy our president, get him out of office, had 3 days of presenting their case, and I mean, I listened to some of it. It was so pathetic. It was so unsubstantive. There was no proof, all based on their dream of getting rid of the president because they know they can't beat him in November because their candidates are not very, very worthy, in my opinion. And so they're doing this, and it was very boring. In fact, the first day there was about 11 million viewers, the second day about 8.9 million, and the third day about 7.8. So less and less people. There were more people watching, comedy shows than watching because it was just odorously long and on, and they just repeat themselves.
Especially with the disaster of Kobe Bryant, the attention was taken away quite a lot.
Right. We had a death of a nice person, and with 8 others in a helicopter, and it really. But of course, we're in California, so it got tremendous media attention in California. Around the rest of the world, the world went on pretty normally.
Kobe Bryant is really, really, really known to everybody, and other states too.
Well, yes, but it's still the impact of is right. It's here. In fact, I just drove by Calabasas
You're talking
last
about
night.
the most direct impact.
Right, the biggest impact. But so that did take a lot of attention away. And then the Republicans have presented their case. Then now the next step is there's going to be 15 hours of people asking questions of each other, and then maybe hopefully there'll be a vote on this Friday. That's what they're shooting for. But there are some Republicans that might go along with the Democrats, which I find to be extremely despicable on their part, to have witnesses come in and make some more lies about the president and what he did, because the lawyers that were on Trump's team were brilliantly articulate and demolished the case. And actually, the whole impeachment was even not legal because they never had a vote in Congress to pursue the impeachment.
I was, for a period of time, with the hope that they will find something.
Why?
they will find some crime.
Why? You hate our president?
No.
Why would you hoping for a crime?
I was waiting for them to show some evidences to find a crime.
But you weren't hoping for a crime, I don't believe.
No. I was waiting to see some crime.
Yeah,
Let
there
me
was
rephrase
none.
it,
There
right?
is none.
I'm not hoping, I'm waiting for somebody to come over to show the crime. But there are two things. Number one thing I'm concerned is that there is so forth, there's no new findings at all.
Nothing happened.
A conversation.
That's all it was.
There is nothing else.
An 8-minute conversation has cost us another $40 million or something, okay? You know, and running all this stuff.
Sense maybe more.
It may, yeah.
Sense maybe more.
Right.
And
you want to find a crime? Go to Joe Biden.
Number two, with those conversations found out already, confirmed, double confirmed, triple confirmed,
right.
Has anybody reached the conclusion of crime being conducted?
Well, the radical left socialist party that used to be known as the Democrat Party, they think everything he thinks is a crime.
They don't even use the word crime.
No, in the two articles of impeachment, they never point to a specific crime because there was none. It's all about we just hate them and we want to get rid of them.
Even themselves did not.
They can't come up with anything.
Did not use the word crime
because they've gone for Russian collusion. It's not in there. Bribery. It's not in there. Everything. It's quid pro quo. It didn't happen. And so this is a dark day in America's history. In years from now, this will be looked at as a very heinous activity by haters in our Congress that are not following the guidance of the Constitution and the purpose of an impeachment.
Especially this happens when the president is out of the country.
Oh, they did that. They do all that. But President Trump said today, he said, let's see, when they go to something, the voting or something, or they're asking questions, maybe I'll just go sit in the front row and listen and let them look at me as they demean me and call me all these.
Yes, a good way to do if he.
Oh, I'd sit there.
I'd do it. At a time, if I were he,
right?
I would do that.
I'd sit there. Yeah.
I'd sit there, right?
Just look at him.
In the meantime,
you heard about
the Trump rally.
Yes. Let me tell you, there was 100,000 people outside. 167,000 people in New Jersey applied to get tickets to this thing. And it's a Democrat state, basically. And 26% of those that were there supposedly were Democrats. President Trump is going to get so many crossover votes this time, it's going to be scary. Because the public doesn't like this kind of activity.
Somebody waited for 8 hours in line.
Hey, it's cold back there. It's winter. And they were overnight.
Just for the purpose to see him.
Yes. Are you kidding me? Is that... No, who's waiting for us, Jack?
Does that mean support?
Of course it does. And what's brilliant about it, number one, to be able to attract that kind of group of people to come and want to participate in an event with you. But the Republican National Committee, they get the cell phone and they get the email address for everybody there, and then they use that in campaigning, for the president throughout the state and throughout the country. Anyway, it's like I've been to rock concerts. It's like a rock concert.
Yeah, like a rock and roll.
It is. But this was unbelievable. And then you'll see Biden, or you'll see Bernie, or you'll see whatever these people. They're lucky to fill up a room with a couple hundred.
You just mentioned the number of viewers from 11 million down to 8, or down to 9, down to 8,
down to 7.8,
down to 7,
watching
8 or whatsoever.
Right.
And then versus the rally now.
Yeah. Oh.
It really tells something, does it?
Well, it tells that, see, the thing is, these elite people in the media and in New York and LA, California and New York, they don't relate to the real Americans that are in Iowa, in Ohio, in Mississippi. Those are the Americans, millions and millions and millions of them. And President Trump relates to them. He tells everybody he's working for them. He doesn't need this job. He doesn't, he didn't need he's losing money by devoting his life. And if he spends 8 years doing this, he has really committed his life to improving the life of millions of Americans.
Where does the whole thing go then?
Well, he will not be removed from office. It may get prolonged if about 4 Republicans and no Democrats change their vote to have witnesses, and then they can each have 1 or 2 witnesses.
Educate me, please.
Yeah.
What is the difference between the removal out of his office and the impeachment?
You know, if you need 67 votes of guilty of a crime to remove a president from the office. They will not get 67 votes. Okay.
And what
Impossible.
is impeachment?
See, and then if once he is exonerated or found not guilty, the impeachment it's nothing but a process. It has no power. It just moves it from the House to the Senate. So once he's exonerated, he's not impeached. I mean, they did their thing, but it has no impact on they're trying to just hurt his reputation.
And well, my dear friends, I'm not a partisan person. I don't take sides myself. I always insisted that I need to see evidence.
Yes, sir.
When I was waiting for crimes, I'm saying that waiting for the discovery of a crime. Okay, here's the discovery of crime. There is no such a thing popping out.
There were none.
So far, right? Okay, now with that many days, 1, 2, 3, 24 hours have passed already.
Yes, sir.
Right? So we may have reached to a conclusion already.
Well, we know the conclusion, he will not be removed from office. They don't have the votes. And we've never had it because not one Republican voted for impeachment in the House. The Democrats have a small majority in the House, and they have every one of them voted for the series of fictitious impeachment accusations. But that's life, but nothing slows down our president. I don't know how he does it. He's just unaffected.
All right. Okay, my dear friends, let's take a moment out. We come back to see what happened in Europe. Stay with us.
Everything is expected to straight. It's like it seems wrong way.
My name is Paul James. I host English news every morning.
And a golden angel award ceremony.
Hello, dear friends, lovely audiences. Welcome back to the show. Jack Chow on the East West with my friend Ken Hemming. East West Show is exclusively sponsored by Wolfers, the Belgian royal family designated brand of jewelry with 400 years of glorious history and hand-forged by 10 generations of #1 craftsmen on earth. Together, the name of Wolfers stands as a testimony to the spectacular and the share of their royal glory. Back to the show.
And that's a lot of years. 400 is a lot of years.
Yeah, 400 years.
It's very impressive.
So what happened in Europe?
Well, Europe is known a lot for the European Union, which is about 29 countries, all of which sort of have their own unique culture, but they decided to come together in this union and allow a bunch of unelected a people, a quite large group in Switzerland, make decisions on how they need to run their country, on labor laws, on border crossing, on refugees, etc. And you know, you just can't destroy all these cultures. So anyway, but in England, Britain is an island, so they don't have these same borders exactly there. And then these people in Switzerland are telling them, well, you got to take X number of thousand refugees, you know, on a boat or fly them over or whatever. Anyway, so Britain had a big referendum and they voted to get out of the Union. And that will happen in 2 more days, January 31.
On Friday.
On Friday.
On Friday.
And now, some people are for that, some people aren't. I am totally supportive of Britain in getting out. One of the benefits to America is we're going to have a great trade deal with Britain, also with England, and their new prime minister, and President Trump get along very well. So there's going to be Boris Johnson get along.
French President Macron, this morning made a speech saying that it is a sad day that the UK, walked out.
Well, and he's entitled to his opinion.
And he says it is also a lesson to everyone. Well, what do you think that he say listen? What kind of lesson?
That's a good question. I'm not sure, but I think what's going to happen is England will not be the last one to want to get out of the European Union. There's other countries, Greece and whatever, that are in there that have weak economies, and people don't like to be bossed from people you didn't elect. Back there, not even living in your country, telling you how to run your country. They don't like that. And so now. It does diminish the culture of each individual country. And that's what I'm for diverse cultures.
This brings me back many, many years ago when the European Union were founded.
It was formed, yeah, I know.
Why?
Yeah.
Why would? I was that time,
yeah.
And I had a lot of questions asking
why they did.
Why would people put the countries together to make it a union?
Well, I think they presumed that they'd have greater economic strength when they had more economies working together. And also they were eliminating their own borders. I mean, you couldn't, the borders weren't there. You could just move your stuff across the borders without any real obstruction. I agree with you, because I was wondering, is it going to work? And I don't think it's ever worked very well. And it's working poorly now.
Neither the idea of forming the union, nor the idea of leaving a union makes sense to me. You see what I mean?
Well, sort of. I mean,
like a French president says that after you're getting out of Europe, you still belong to Europe.
Well, it's a European. England's a European country, but
it doesn't. European country.
But they want their individual sovereignty back, and I think countries should have their own sovereignty. I don't think America is going to join with other countries in weaken our own culture and economy by letting other lesser economies. And I'm not saying there's any lesser cultures, so don't misinterpret that, please. It would only weaken America, and it weakened Britain. It weakened Britain. Now, there's a lot of people in Britain. It was voted in with 52 to 48%. Okay, so it was kind of a close vote, because they're brothers and sisters in Europe. Europe's not huge. I mean, you could drive through 4 countries in one day, just going in circles. But when you don't have the autonomy of your sovereignty, the autonomy of your government, the comfort of making your own decisions, you become dissatisfied.
No, yeah, sure. Now you're talking about the economy. It's a group economy.
And it's weak right now.
It's a regional economy, right? So especially when you talk about economy, there's no border lines to even see.
Over there's not now.
Yeah,
right.
Economically. Economically.
Right.
Most of the time, the border line means a pencil jaw on a map.
Absolutely, yeah.
Rather than, right?
Yeah.
Cross strait is Belgium.
Yeah.
and you go to the south part of it.
And they all gave up their individual currency to have the euro. So there's like one form of
Well.
Yeah.
So, like I said, this didn't make sense to me to form the union
Yeah.
or to make euro.
yeah.
The euro is all recognized now.
Yes, it is.
And now you dismiss it? After you dismiss, are you still part of euro?
Well, I think England's going to go back to the pound as their currency, but the euro will continue living for maybe a long, long time. Yeah, you just lose your individual. You're a country. You have pride in your country. You want to make your own mistakes. You want to make your own good decisions. And they took, and these other people, unelected. There's like 400 of them are making these decisions, forcing it down your throat. That's not good. It's not healthy.
Macron said something very meaningfully.
Yes, sir.
That I'm guessing. What did he mean?
Okay.
He says that he will remain tough to believe the Union, the European Union, in spite of any pressure.
Well, that's fine.
What does he mean, any pressure?
Well, I personally don't think Macron is a exceptionally talented leader for France. And so as long as he's a member of a union of 28 countries, then he can spread the blame. He could spread some of the blame of his personal failures in leading France to the challenges of the union itself. So rather than Harry Truman, who I loved, Democrat, 1948, I'd have voted for him. He said the buck stops here at his desk. And Macron is just spreading the buck, throwing it off the desk and spreading it throughout the union. So he's, and also he's, pretty socialist, okay? Pretty much of a socialist and not as much of an entrepreneur and capitalist. And those economies don't work. Socialism just doesn't work. You can have a social program, but if the whole government decides how you live your life and you have no individual liberty, you have no life.
I mean, all the European countries, 28, 29 of them,
Yeah.
are they economically even now?
No.
Even, I mean, are they even now?
No, they're not even at all, no.
They're not even.
No, like Italy's doing real bad. Some are not doing very well, some are doing much better.
That indicates the union did not work.
Well, there's no perfection in a union, right? But other countries might, within their own borders, control and govern themselves more effectively with better results than other countries. And a lot has to do with whether you support capitalism, you support the ability to move up from poor to middle class to very successful, or you're stuck in, you're born and you're stuck in that caste, lower income or something for the rest of your life. In socialism, you can't, unless you get in the government.
Okay, my dear friend, my lovely audience, today's bi-weekly update with my dear friend Ken Hemming. We touch base with you with a rescue plan from China.
Yes, sir. Very scary.
Rescuing from the coronavirus, who are safe now, sound and safe. And we gave our concern to folks in Wuhan, China.
Yes, we did.
And those are
Our
good
love.
folks that they deserve help.
Yep.
Lots of help in the meantime are going that way. And thirdly, we talk about impeachment. Still, I've been waiting for somebody to shout out, say, hey, here's a crime I found. Well, there is none.
Keep waiting.
There is still none.
There's none.
There's still none. Hopefully, we can, finger crossed, till the end of the day, probably, we'll find out what we've been expecting. And fourthly, we'll talk about Europe, basically European unions. When UK is out, what will happen? What should happen?
Jack, and I will say your viewers are very blessed to have you and your intelligence and your sensitivity to human nature and human needs discussed on a regular, timely basis.
All right, sure.
Proud of you.
We live for our audiences.
Yes, we do.
And we do whatever best to serve our audiences. So we thank you very much for helping.
Thank you, Jack.
And my dear friends, thank you for watching. And this concludes the show today.
Love you so much.